15. A Chaldean Catholic church leader in Iraq says the only way to stop ISIS is with violence. Archbishop Bashar Warda of Erbil says a war against ISIS is needed. He says it's the only way to keep radical Islamists from destroying Christianity in his country. He tells 60 Minutes the Islamic State is a cancer.
Sometimes you take some hard measures, unfortunate measures, to deal and to treat this cancer.
So you want to see a major military offensive?
Yeah, to get Iraq to its normal situation.
The Archbishop's flock has grown by 60,000 in recent months as Christians from other parts of Iraq take refuge there. The Islamic State's push across Syria and Iraq threatens communities and traditions thousands of years old. For Iraq's Christians forced to flee, the threat extends to their very existence as a people. 27-year-old Saba Abed says she is surviving, but she can hardly call this a life. Remembering the life she once had, Saba breaks down. It was beautiful, she says. For now, this is home for her and more than 50 other Christian families driven out of the northern city of Mosul by ISIS last year. They found sanctuary in this abandoned school in Baghdad. With support from the church and aid groups, they are getting by. Everyone in this small community has a story of loss and suffering, but most are too scared to speak. Iraq's Christian community, once estimated at more than 1 million, has dwindled to 1/3 of that since the U.S.-led invasion in 2003, prompting many to flee. For years, they've been targets of extremist groups. Many of those who defied the threats and stayed say they no longer can. My message to the Pope, she says, is we are worthless in this country. Get us out of here. Save us from this country. We don't belong here anymore. The latest news from home came from ISIS releasing these photos on Monday, vandalizing a church, taking down a cross and replacing it with the group's black flag of terror. Saba is emotional and angry looking at the pictures. This is the monastery we liked and visited, she says. Why are they doing this to the churches? May God punish the evil monsters, she says. Others, like Father Martin Daywood, say ISIS has done worse.
I felt very bad, but it's not like when I saw our families leaving their houses and leaving their properties and giving it to ISIS. It hurt me more than seeing these crosses being fallen from the churches and destroying our culture or our history in Mosul. We can rebuild the history, but it's very difficult to rebuild the human.
Forcing Christians out of their homes was not enough. ISIS seems determined to wipe every trace of Christianity in the land it now rules.
If ISIS continues, I think this is the last chapter of the book of Christianity or minorities living in Iraq or Middle East.
The Christian identity under threat in the Middle East, the land where it was born more than 2,000 years ago. And Christians in Pakistan's eastern city of Lahore react violently to deadly attacks on their communities. Taliban suicide bombers targeted 2 churches in Lahore earlier this week. More than a dozen people died and dozens more were wounded. In the aftermath, enraged mobs lash out, burning a suspected terrorist to death. Mike